Hey everyone, I just wanted to include my, comments. I was thinking about this all morning and well, all day yesterday too. Ever since some guy went nuts and shot up the place and everything. It just it just brings to mind how now all these government people and the media, they're shocked and dismayed, at the highly charged rhetoric going on in this country. Really, in this country where there's 25% employment, uh, prices are shooting through the roof at the stores. People can't afford, basic things that they used to be able to. Now, while a lot of that was, granted, a lot of that was the people's fault. A lot of that was these people's fault. I mean, whoever heard of, people making $12 an hour or whatever, moving into $500,000 homes on a ninja loan or whatever. But a lot of people know what's going on from before then till now. I mean, these people we knew that was a bunch of BS. That was created. And when the big money people get into trouble, they bail them out. Too big to fail. And people wonder why there's highly charged rhetoric. People wonder, the government surprised, the government and media surprised that in this country today with 25% unemployment and people being kicked out of their houses and the government not even supporting any basic, foreclosure laws. The banks can just go in and foreclose. They're foreclosing on people who own their house because the bank was in trouble because they sold the people's mortgage a bunch of times. In this situation, in this country, you got 25% unemployment. They've been ramming through, especially in the last couple of years, they've been ramming through bills with, 80% of the people are dead set against it. But they just ram it through in the middle of the night. And they're wondering why there's highly charged rhetoric in this country. I don't see how they can wonder that. They're not being honest with themselves, that's for sure. Endless bailouts for the too big to fail banks. They're completely bankrupt. So the only way that they can make it till Monday morning is if they're handed another few $1 billion at the taxpayers' expense. Healthcare bill, they rammed this thing through in the middle of the night. 80% of the people were against it. And they're wondering why there's highly charged rhetoric in the country. I don't see how they can. So while this was a terrible event and everything, does it surprise anybody to see that this stuff is now starting to happen? Been saying I've been saying myself for over a year. So watch out. This stuff is only going to get worse until we start seeing people blowing up in the streets. And here it is. Well, that's my only, that's my random thoughts on, what's going on with all this. While it's a terrible, tragic event, it's the same thing as a guy who walks around the neighborhood kicking Rottweilers, and then one of them, bites him, tears open his leg, and he's shocked and stunned by it. Hey, government, if you don't want highly charged rhetoric out in the country, why don't you start representing the people for a change? And I know that's never going to happen. I'm fully aware of that. It's never going to happen. But just as a suggestion, hey, if you want to stop the highly charged rhetoric, why don't you finally pay attention, to the people for a change? Anyway, have a good Sunday. We'll talk to you later. Bye.